Can you write blog posts and articles with Google Bard? And how does Google's new AI tool stack up against ChatGPT? Hi there, my name is Brian Collins, and in this video we're going to find out. How is Google Bard different to ChatGPT? Well, it's fascinating to see Google Bard is pretty confident that it can get better results. So when I put in the prompt, how do you differ to ChatGPT? It told me that it's trained on an infinite set of data and has access to the internet in real time. And then it threw a little shade on ChatGPT, saying it's trained on a predefined set of data that hasn't been updated since 2021. So according to Google Bard, I should expect more accurate, creative results. The user experience should be better, and Bard is also free to use. Now, to be fair, ChatGPT is free to use, but there is a paid tier if you want to get access to ChatGPT 4. The other big selling point of Google Bard is it's going to be rolled out in Google search results, and that's something we can expect over the next few weeks or months. ChatGPT is already available in search results, but you're going to have to use Bing on Microsoft Edge to get access to it. For testing Google Bard, I wanted to research and write an article about the best types of coffee to drink in the morning, and also figure out some other companion articles and pieces of content I could create. So let's see how I got on. One thing I like about using Google Bard is I can get the results almost instantaneously. So if I put in my prompt, write me a blog post about the best coffees to drink in the morning, the results pretty much pop up straight away. Let's take a look at the blog post that Google Bard has generated. Well, it's written in a fairly generic headline, but it has kept my keyword, best coffee to drink in the morning. It has a 2-sentence introduction, a few fairly generic factors to consider, and then it mentions a few of the best coffee drinks to drink in the morning. To be honest, there's not too much of interest here. Everybody knows you drink an espresso or an Americano in the morning, and probably most people are familiar with lattes and cappuccinos. Not everybody would drink a mocha in the morning, so perhaps this is a little bit unique. And the blog post is probably about 300 or 400 words long. Now, usually when I write an article, I like to have a couple of different headlines. So I gave Google Bard the prompt, write me 10 headlines for this blog post or article. And I came up with 10 headlines, but it seemed to have dropped the term best coffee to drink in the morning. So the top 5 coffees to start your day, how to choose the best coffee for you, the best coffee for caffeine sensitivity. Now clearly this is a completely different type of article to this article. And it goes on, the best coffee for weight loss, the best coffee for a sweet tooth. So I could give Google Bard a more specific prompt and ask it to write 10 headlines using this keyword. So I gave Google Bard a more specific prompt and I said write me 10 SEO friendly headlines about the best coffee to drink in the morning and to keep in my keyword. And it gave me 10 suggestions which I could pick from. And the suggestions were relatively good. So it certainly has kept in the keyword and it's given me lots of different variations that I could use depending on the content of the article. So for a boost of energy, for weight loss, for improved mood, for better focus. It really does depend on what the article or blog post is about. I hope this helps, perhaps it does. That 300 or 400 word blog post that Google Bard provided was a little bit short. I couldn't do too much with that. So I gave the AI tool a more specific prompt, write me a 1,000 word blog post focused on the keyword best coffee to drink in the morning. And that's my takeaway from using these AI tools. The more specific you are with your prompt, the more likely you are to get results that you can use. So think about your word count, intent of the piece, tone of voice, target audience, and more. And the results were a little bit better. Fairly generic headline, but I guess I have those other headlines that I can pick from. 2-sentence introduction. I could ask Google Bard to expand on this, or I could do it myself during the editing process. A few things to consider, and the different types of coffee. And it's added decaf. I wouldn't like drinking decaf in the morning, but I guess that's suitable for people with caffeine sensitivity. Now it's given me some nice tips for making the most out of my morning coffee, and it's explained how I can find the right cup of coffee and what the benefits are. All of this makes sense. However, I was a bit confused when it had tips here, and it also had tips here for drinking coffee in moderation. So arguably, that's a lot of bullet points in a blog post, and it reads very much like an outline or a draft. So during the editing process, I'd probably combine these sections and rework them into full sentences and paragraphs. But it's certainly enough for me or for a writer to work with. After reading through this draft, I still wasn't sure that it was 1,000 words long. Google Bard insisted it is, so I took the draft and I pasted it into Pages, which is my word processor for Mac, and that clocked it in at 743 words. Now, to be fair, sometimes ChatGPT has problems with word count as well. And I understand counting words can be a little bit tricky for these AI tools. So always take the output with a pinch of salt. One feature I liked in Google Bard is that I can click on export and I can export it to Google Docs or Gmail. So this is a good way of getting content out of Google Bard and into wherever you're going to edit it or publish it. Now let's take a look at what ChatGPT came up with. So first up I used ChatGPT 3.5 and I gave it pretty much the same prompt. And I got some okay results that were comparable to Google Bard. So it mentioned a couple of different types of coffee and it mentioned the regions that they're from. That was something that Google Bard didn't do. But the article was a little bit short and some of the text was generic. But this would certainly be enough for me to start with. And of course there's no option to add external links or citations. So I wanted to see what ChatGPT 4 could do, so I gave it the same prompt and the results were much better. The introduction was clearer and more concise, and it also mentioned more specific types of coffee, and it gave me 7 different suggestions of types of coffee from different regions around the world. Now I've been writing and reading about coffee for years and I wasn't familiar with all of these different types of coffee, so this was quite good. I did not know about this Guatemalan coffee and it's certainly one that I would add to a list if I was to publish this type of blog post. When I pasted in the same article from ChatGPT into Pages, the word count clocked in at 593 words. So not quite 1,000 words, but I could give ChatGPT a few prompts to expand each one of these sections. I also wanted to see if I could use Google Bard to fix my own writing. So I took an article I wrote, about 300 or 400 words in length, and it's packed full of grammar and spelling errors. And I said, hey Google, can you fix this article, or can you read this article and fix all of the grammar errors? And unfortunately, I got this mistake. I'm a text-based AI and that's outside of my capabilities. I pasted in the same article with grammar and spelling errors into ChatGPT and I asked it to find and fix the grammar errors. And ChatGPT produced something that was a little bit better edited. Now, if you're interested in a deep dive into how you can use AI tools to find and fix grammar errors and whether they compare to a grammar checker like Grammarly, I do have another video on the channel that you should check out where I explain how to use these tools. But suffice to say, ChatGPT is a little bit better at fixing grammar and spelling mistakes, but to be honest, you're best off served with a dedicated grammar checker like Grammarly. I particularly liked how Google Bard can act as a type of research assistant. So let's say I was writing a companion article, a roundup of the best decaf coffees that you can buy on Amazon. Well, I can actually use Google Bard to crawl through real-time search results. So I gave it this prompt. Now it took 1 or 2 goes to get it right. What are the most popular decaf coffees selling on Amazon? And it gave me not 1 but 3 different drafts that I can review. So according to draft number 3, these are the top 10 most popular decaf coffees as of today's date. And it gives me a couple of different brands that I can research. Now I did go over to Amazon and I sorted coffees or decaf coffees by bestsellers, and the results were a little bit different to what Google Bard has come up with. But there was some crossover between the brands that Google Bard has suggested and what's selling on Amazon today. And this is something that ChatGPT can't do. So if you ask it to comb real-time search results, it's not actually going to give you anything useful, at least not right now. Another feature that I liked when you're using Google Bard is it'll sometimes give you a couple of different drafts that you can review. So for this prompt, it's given me 3 different drafts of the best-selling decaf coffees, and I can click between them and decide what's the best one, and then I can potentially export it or use it for my article or rework it. And that's something I'd love to see rolled out in ChatGPT. Now, unfortunately, there's no real way to save the results of my prompts into Google Bard, at least not right now. Whereas if you go over to ChatGPT, you can access all of the results from your searches on the left-hand sidebar. Google Bard can also take a look at real-time links and potentially extract information from them. So I found this article on a British newspaper about the best decaf coffees, and it's basically a roundup of 10 different brands that you can choose from. So I asked Google Bard to summarize this article, and it gave me a helpful summary of what the article is about, but it did make a few mistakes. So it told me the top 3 decaf coffees on the list are Kicking Horse Decaf, Seattle's Best Coffee, and Joe Coffee No Fun. Unfortunately, when I went over to the article, I'd read through it, I couldn't find these brands on the article in question. I tried the same prompt on another article that I found on WebMD about the healthiest coffees. This article is basically a roundup of 13 different types of coffee which you should consider drinking if you want to be healthy. But the summary that I got from Google Bard was a little bit different. So it mentions fair trade coffee, dark roast coffee and black coffee as healthy coffees. And then it gives me some tips for choosing healthy coffee. But to be honest, it's pretty much different to what's on WebMD. So I guess the ability of Google Bard to pull in real-time search results is something that will need to wait before it becomes actually usable. I wondered if I could use Google Bard as a type of research assistant to source some interesting statistics. So I gave it a prompt to go and find some stats about decaf coffee sales. And Google Bard claimed that the global decaf coffee market should reach 2.38 billion by 2028. It's a pretty good statistic for a decaf coffee article. And I had some other information that I could read through here. But I was wondering, how accurate is all of this information? Because this is a big concern with using these AI tools. So I did a little bit of desk research and I went over to Market Watch and I found a press release. And the press release claims that the coffee market should be worth over 3 billion by 2028. So that's quite a bit more than 2.38 billion according to Google Bard. So I went ahead and I asked Google Bard to instead find sources and citations for the information I provided. And this is where I found things got a little bit better. So it gave me some different statistics, reports, and papers that I could review myself as part of my research process. So for example, decaf coffee market size, share, and growth. So when I pasted this into Google, I was able to find this report that I could read through and then pull statistics out from myself. So in other words, you could use this as a starting point for your journey into a specific topic, but I wouldn't actually take anything that these tools say as verbatim without actually factually checking them or verifying these sources. Now, I'm in Ireland, and when I first heard about Google Bard, I was disappointed to find I couldn't access the tool. That's because this AI tool is only available in a subset of countries like the United States. So I had to use a VPN to get access. So if you want to try Google Bard, it is available for free, but you may need to use a VPN depending on where you're living. My takeaway from using Google Bard is that it could become a really great research assistant, particularly when it's rolled out as part of Google search results. The only problem is some of the information that it comes up with, like those statistics I showed you a few moments ago, aren't always accurate, so you need to take everything it says with a pinch of salt. And I also found that the results from ChatGPT 4 were a little bit better than what I got from Google Bard. To be honest, Google Bard reminded me of ChatGPT 3.5. However, AI is changing so quickly that I'm sure we can expect Google Bard to improve too. And it's going to be really interesting to see how AI tools like this change the face of blogging and content publishing. What tools would you like me to try next? Let me know in the comment section below this video. Oh, and if you did find this profile helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.